Okay, if I seem a little tilted in the next two videos, it's because I am. I have recorded a lot of footage for the next two, and all of it is completely worthless. So now I'm doing it all again, but hey ho, let's get into it. Despite all the incredible competition, Alan Wake 2 was still my favourite game of last year, a point you can hear me go into much more detail on in this video here. I love it so much that I've had to resist every urge to drop all the other games I'm trying to get through and start Quantum Break right this second. But it's okay, because my hunger for now has been sated as we have just got the first DLC drop for Alan Wake 2.
Night Springs.
They're ready to die if it stops him from writing another crappy book. What do you got?
I have a shotgun.
Well, I got a... Wait, that's a real shotgun? Okay, I admit that's a... I didn't expect that.
Night Springs is my favourite kind of DLC. It has no major story implications, and unlike American Nightmare, I am sure of that this time, as Sam Lake himself has called them what-if scenarios. It is purely a reward, if you will, a gift, to the players that loved the base game and just want something more to snack on for a couple of hours. The only thing better than this is stuff like RE4's Separate Ways, which isn't necessary but makes you go, ah yes, I see what you did there. Or even the Control DLC, I don't know why I didn't think of that first.
Did you say something? Remember, I can't hear you.
Night Springs is also obviously a massive in-joke, which anyone that's played any of these Remedyverse games will know by now. The Twilight Zone-based scenario show has been appearing in these games since the original Alan Wake, and appears here as our backdrop. Each of the DLC's episodes are presented as a literal episode of the show, complete with the jingle and narration from Wall and Door, and they're credited as penned by Alan Wake himself. And all these episodes are an absolute blast to play that put forward the best elements of the game and Remedy's style as a whole on full display. And they're very digestible bites at that, being no more than like an hour each, despite varying levels of substance. Night Springs is that classic example of survival horror DLC that is a damn sight easier and less stressful than the main game. It's meant to be a good time, not a long time, and that is clear from the very first episode.
#1 fan.
In this first episode we follow Rose, the quirky and most definitely a little crazy waitress of the Oh Dear Diner, who has a love for Alan that could be described as obsessive. A love that is threatened in this candy-coloured alternate reality where Rose is basically the centre of everything.
Here's your coffee. How do you juggle running this diner, your bird sanctuary, and that amazing fan site for the writer you love so much? I work extremely hard, but also I'm naturally talented. Well, heck, no wonder us regular folks can't keep up.
And when her wall-mounted fish tells her that her beloved is in trouble and that she is the only one who can save him, she does not hesitate to go into the back of the diner, grab some light military gear, and save the day from Alan's 80s biker-style cool evil twin. Not only is this episode like living inside Rose's 9-to-5 daydream, it plays like it. You get a rifle and a shotgun. The rifle plays just like the base game, but the shotgun comes with an addition I think every shotgun in a fantasy world would like to have. Fully automatic fire. There is no balance here, only pure destructive fantasy. If an enemy so much as wanders within 20 feet of you, you hold down left click and watch as they become mist in the wind. Nothing will stand in her way. Admittedly, this episode may be a glorified on-rails shooter, and depending on how you feel about episode 2, it is likely the weakest of the three, but it is an excellent primer for the experience you're in for. Its gaudy colour palette, edgy evil Alan, superb shotgun feel, and delightfully ham-fisted humour.
You asked for it. You're rude, you have no manners, your too cool to care attitude is attractive initially, but drives people away after they realize you're emotionally incapable of letting your walls down to reveal that you are a vulnerable human being just like everybody else. You are trying way too hard with that outfit.
No, stop! I don't like being seen!
The confines of the base game are broken and the world is your oyster. In Night Springs.
Tonight's
But they were not satisfied with simple fan fiction. Episode 2 North Star brings back everyone's favourite janitor's assistant, Jesse. Here, displayed for posterity, is the moment Jesse showed up in the reveal trailer, as shown by my DMs. North Star is sort of the horror episode, but for those of you looking to launch Taken with psychic powers, I must disappoint. As even in this world of what ifs, the episode is set before Control. We join Jessie on the hunt for the organisation that took her brother, and where does that lead her but the dark recesses of the Koskela brothers' own Coffee World. Somehow Coffee World is just as, if not more creepy than it was the first time, but fortunately, you will not be here for long. Your goal, with the help of Tim, It's a Government Experiment Breaker,
The government's been putting something in the coffee.
is to weasel your way into the storage facility just past the park. To do so, you will need to find 3 ridiculous coffee-related clues to get past the questions from the intercom. Ah, yes, I haven't mentioned, have I? The Taken are here, but the Dark Presence has been replaced with a crippling coffee addiction. It's a very bizarre episode, yet it feels weirdly familiar with how events sort of mirror Control up to a point. But you've got a flashlight, shiitake tons of ammo, and a mighty fast trigger finger to make Coffee World your own personal playground. And an obligatory stealth section, which I slid my way through like I knew what I was doing. What else could you want?
Night Springs.
I'm sorry, it's the last time I do that, I swear. North Star is fun, and I will absolutely take whatever Jessie I can get while we wait for Control 2 or whatever comes next.
Just let me inside the fucking building.
But the real creme de la creme of the DLC, which I think most people will agree with and is most definitely last for a reason, is Episode 3.
Tonight's reality-bending episode, Timebreaker.
While still a what if, Timebreaker has the most, let's say, potential. We join Shawn Ashmore and Sam Lake playing seemingly themselves as they direct a video game about a multiversal agent whose many versions are at war with the master of many worlds. Though war might be a bit generous.
What the fuck is this?
But it does not remain a video game for long, as Shawn is dragged into the reality of the multiverse and dimension hopping, and this is why Timebreaker is such a fun episode. Even ignoring the fact that I giggle every time I see Timbreaker and say, Timebreaker, under my breath, even ignoring the shockingly deep writing for such a short experience, what this episode does best is showcase Remedy's creativity and their drive to push boundaries in the AAA space that do not often get pushed, especially visually. Even with most of the environments in all of these episodes being reused assets, it still comes across as fresh, particularly in this section of the game. As Shawn grapples with his new circumstances, we end up in a noir hotel with reality-bending puzzle solving, a comic book, like a 16-bit side-scroller, all in the space of an hour. Never mind this bit, you've got to see this for yourself. That's not everything, there's some stimulating combat, and once again, I cannot stress enough, the writing is actually very deep for the time. It's such a great experience, but also feels the least out of reach. The other 2 episodes are clear what-ifs. The first is a literal daydream, and the second a completely different set of events from the ones we know to be true, putting aside the funny coffee theme. But Timebreaker, oh Timebreaker, you cheeky little sausage. I'm not saying they're going to slip it into the canon, but it does kinda work. Admittedly, I'm missing what feels like key pieces of information because I get the impression that there are chunky Quantum Break references in here, especially regarding a certain subplot, but again I haven't played it, so I cannot confirm. Either way, Timbreaker, the actual Timbreaker, who if I'm not mistaken is still in the dark place as at the end of Alan Wake 2, has a clear role in the narrative going forward, and they aren't being super subtle about Quantum Break connections as far as I understand, so I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if this wasn't the last of all the stuff we see within Timebreaker. And even if it is, you'll have a spare hour lying around somewhere, you can always come back and imagine the possibilities within this infinite multiverse. As Wall and Door closes out the final episode of Night Springs, I'm reminded of why I do love these games so much, Alan Wake 2 in particular. It is such a coalescence of storytelling perspectives and languages that it's impossible not to get sucked into their infectious creativity in a space that is famously struggling with it at times. And the what if model allows them to stretch those muscles even further, even if they still struggle with optimization, for the love of God. Now, Alan Wake 2 isn't done yet, we still have the lake house to go, which I suspect will be a bit more relevant to the events of the game if that's more your style. If you want to play through Night Springs yourself, all you need to do is upgrade the game's edition, bash out the update, and it's on the main menu. It is a bit unusual that you can't just buy the DLC, but to be fair, I do believe the math works out quite nicely. I hope you enjoy these episodes as much as I did, and I look forward to many others enjoying the throes of Alan Wake 2 with the console version finally on the way. Now, depending on when this comes out, the next video or the last video is Dead by Daylight for reasons, so I will see you then.